Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer because we really need to address the exact painful question that is probably keeping you up right now. Do they sleep peacefully after breaking your heart? It's a super heavy thought, right? I mean, when you're just sitting there hurting, it is so completely natural to wonder if the person who caused all that pain even realizes what they've lost. Like, are they just sleeping soundly without a second thought?
Well, brace yourself for the sharp, kind of stoic reality here. The answer is yes. Right now, they probably are at peace. But listen, we are absolutely not stopping there. We're going to pivot immediately into the solution. We're talking about a very specific set of actions that will completely flip the script and shift the power dynamic entirely back to you. So, this brings us to the core of today's material, the psychological blueprint for breaking their ego. And I want to be super clear right up front. This isn't just some fluffy, feel-good pep talk. No way. It is a highly structured psychological game plan. It's designed to literally turn your silence into an unbreakable weapon, forging you into this calm, completely untouchable warrior. To get there, we're looking at a 5-phase hero's journey. First, understanding their ego. Then, the power of silence, the mirror effect, shifting your energy, and finally, achieving ultimate freedom. Keep this roadmap in mind because this is exactly how you're going to move from that painful heartbreak to ultimate untouchable independence. All right, let's kick things off with phase 1, understanding their ego. To win literally any mental battle, you first have to understand your enemy. And in this case, the enemy isn't exactly your ex, it's their ego. Our source material describes the ego as a fake belief that tells someone, hey, they need me, I don't need them. You see, when they left, they didn't necessarily stop caring. Their ego just assumed you wouldn't have the courage to leave them behind. They were operating on the absolute assumption that you'd just always be waiting, always available, right where they left you.
Which leads us directly into phase 2, the power of silence.
You know, the no contact rule gets thrown around a lot as just basic breakup advice, but it's actually a profound psychological attack based entirely on the fear of losing control. When you instantly disappear, it completely shatters their ego. Why? Because an ego's absolute worst nightmare is realizing that someone has stepped entirely out of its control. When you give them no messages, no explanations, no drama whatsoever, they aren't just confused. They are fundamentally shaken by your absence. The source material puts it perfectly. Silence isn't a weakness. It's the most dangerous weapon. People so often think that staying quiet means you're broken or giving up, but actually, your complete lack of drama or messages or tears, it leaves their ego totally without a compass. They start agonizing over what you're thinking, what you're doing, and most importantly, what you are dangerously transforming into. So, the absolutely crucial point here is taking concrete action to become completely invisible, especially online. Step 1, stop viewing their stories, period. If you're watching, they know you're still hovering. Step 2, stay active offline and focus on your real-world growth. And step 3, restrict or block them. By removing their access to you, you're actively starving their ego of the very attention it desperately needs to survive. Moving right along to phase 3, the mirror effect. This is such a fascinating psychological stage because you're essentially letting the universe force them to face their own actions. You're not seeking revenge, you're just acting as a mirror. Think about the contrast. Their ego fully expected you to be crying, constantly reacting, just waiting around for them. But the harsh reality you're actually giving them, you're glowing up, you're staying utterly silent, and you are completely unavailable. You're just mirroring the exact absence they gave you, and ironically, it's going to drive them crazy. Now we hit phase 4, shifting your energy. This right here is the major pivot point of the entire explainer. At this stage, it's no longer about getting back at them or worrying about what they think. It is entirely about taking your energy back for yourself. Think about where your energy used to go. The late night chats, the crying, the staring at your phone waiting. That currency was totally wasted. Now, you take that exact same energy and spend it on the present. We're talking gym reps, deep reading, mindset building. You are reclaiming your power to build a stronger body, a sharper mind, and just laser-like focus. And as you do this, you're naturally going to start engaging in some major ego-triggering behaviors. Glowing up physically and mentally, putting absolutely zero drama on your social media, upgrading your friend circle, and keeping a completely neutral attitude. These specific behaviors make their ego absolutely crumple because they finally realize you haven't just moved on, you've completely replaced and outgrown them. But, we have to be real here. You have to face yourself. Raw,
broken, but real. Behind all that external glowing up, the true inner work happens very quietly, and usually in isolation. This is where you have to face your own regret, your anger, and your pain, without needing an audience or applause or validation from anyone else. You heal those deepest wounds in silence, because truthfully, that is where real strength is actually forged.
Which leads us perfectly to our final stage, Phase 5, Achieving Ultimate Freedom. The source material highlights this really interesting phenomenon called the comeback without contact. It basically explains that eventually, when your silence becomes just too loud to ignore, their guilt and curiosity are inevitably going to push them to reach out. They're going to want to know if they still have a hold on you. But the kicker is, by the time they do, they're going to find an unbreakable warrior who no longer wants, needs, or honestly even recognizes them in that way. There's a quote that perfectly captures the essence of this ultimate freedom. You are no longer a block on their timeline. You are a mystery. You just no longer seek their validation at all. You don't sit around waiting for their texts. You've removed yourself so completely from their little game that you've become entirely unreachable. And, because of that, infinitely more valuable. So, to summarize the core philosophy of this whole explainer, true revenge isn't getting back at them. It's becoming fire. The greatest victory isn't fighting with them or sending that long, angry text message. No, it's letting your pain forge you into something incredibly powerful. You rise as the fire while they're just left searching for you in the ashes of what used to be. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on. Are you ready to meet yourself? Look, it's time to stop fighting the ghost of your ex. Stop letting their ego dictate your worth. Take back your silence, take back your energy, and start building your entirely new, untouchable self starting today. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Now go do the work.